Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're here today, chances are you're dealing with the aftermath of a breakup. Or maybe you're just curious about how to transform yourself into the best version you can be, regardless of what's going on in your love life. I get it, breakups are tough. But what if I told you that the key to regaining your power isn't in playing games or waiting for her to miss you? It lies in something more profound, a transformation, a shift that will make you unrecognizable to the person who left. In this video, we'll dive into exactly why no contact isn't enough on its own, and how you can evolve into the kind of man who becomes irreplaceable. Stick with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll understand how to turn this breakup into your most significant opportunity for growth. Let's get started. 1. No contact is just the beginning. When a relationship takes an unexpected turn and the silence between you and her grows, it's easy to convince yourself that no contact is the solution. The idea is tempting. Distance will make her miss you, regret her actions, and perhaps even want you back. But here's the truth. Simply cutting ties doesn't guarantee these outcomes. No contact alone doesn't hold the power you might think it does. What truly matters is the absence of communication and what you do with that time. The fundamental transformation comes from the work you put into becoming the best version of yourself. A woman may have pulled away, asked for space, or even moved on to someone else. The temptation to play games or manipulate her emotions can be overwhelming in these moments. However, the most effective approach isn't about making her feel anything. It's about focusing on your growth. True power lies in what you become during the absence. It's not about hoping she'll regret her decision. It's about discovering who you are without her. The idea that cutting off communication will force her to realize what she lost often stems from a place of insecurity. People's emotions don't change overnight simply because of silence. When you shift your focus away from trying to get her back and start putting effort into personal development, you grow stronger and become someone who doesn't need to rely on another person's feelings for validation. Whether she returns or not becomes irrelevant. The journey to build a better version of yourself is a valid reward. Take this time to refocus and reconnect with who you are outside of the relationship. What do you want to accomplish in your life? What areas can you improve, not just for her, but for yourself? These questions are key. When you stop seeking her approval, you'll realize that your transformation becomes the most attractive thing about you. She might never come back, and that's perfectly okay. The more you invest in yourself, the less you'll care about whether she does. Because in the end, your growth and the power you gain from it will far outweigh any fleeting connection. And if she does come back, she'll find you changed. Not because you played a game of silence, but because you evolved into someone who no longer depends on her or anyone else to feel complete. 2. Absence and contrast, the real secret to regret. Regret doesn't stem from silence, but from the stark contrast between the man she once knew and the man you've become. In its truest sense, absence is not simply the physical absence of your presence. It's the absence of the version of you that she left behind. This gap, this void, creates a weight that lingers long after the last words are spoken or the previous touch is shared. It's not the silence that resonates with her, but the realization that the man she walked away from no longer exists. She doesn't just need to feel the emptiness of your absence. She needs to experience the profound difference between who you were then and who you are now. She must look at you and wonder how you transformed into someone who exudes strength and confidence. You can't make her regret her decision by replaying the past, by clinging to who you were or what you had. Instead, you must allow her to see a version of you that's undeniably different, undeniably better. It's in the process of this transformation that your true power lies. Growth is not just about changing habits or improving outwardly, but about becoming someone who thrives regardless of the situation. When you consciously decide to evolve and elevate your life, you become an unrecognizable force in her world. She can no longer look at you and see the man she left behind. She sees a reflection of someone she didn't think was possible. That difference becomes a silent magnet, pulling her back and making her wonder if she made a mistake. But this change isn't just for her, it's for you. It's about finding the strength to become the best version of yourself, irrespective of any past relationships. It's about understanding that your value lies not in how others perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. When you step into your power, she sees that your absence isn't just space. It's the void of something irreplaceable that she may never get back. In the end, it's this transformation that makes her pause. She starts questioning her decision, wondering if she made the right choice, or if she overlooked something essential that only time and distance could reveal. In this subtle but powerful shift, you make her reconsider everything she thought she knew. 3. The void principle. Silence creates doubt. In relationships, silence is one of the most potent weapons at your disposal. While many might assume constant communication is the key to maintaining a connection, the absence of contact can trigger something much deeper: uncertainty. When you withdraw entirely, whether through not texting, avoiding social media interactions, or simply not reaching out as usual, you create an emotional void that she cannot ignore. This silent yet loud space forces her mind into overdrive, making her question everything she thought she knew about you. It's not just the lack of words that leaves her unsettled, it's the void itself. Wildly unexpected silence disrupts the comfort she has come to rely on in the relationship. Women thrive on attention. It's not about constant validation or reassurance, but the unspoken recognition that you are present, engaged, and emotionally available. Removing yourself from her reality, even briefly, rattles her equilibrium. The effect is subtle but powerful. As the days without a word from you, her thoughts shift. She wonders if she misjudged your intentions, questioning whether she's still important to you. The narrative takes shape in her mind. Did I say something wrong? Did I misread the signs? Is he pulling away, or is this just temporary? Each unanswered message, each day without contact, feeds into that uncertainty. Even more intriguing is that this silence doesn't necessarily push her away. Quite the opposite. It forces her to confront her feelings and recalibrate her expectations. She wonders if you've grown more assertive, self-assured, and perhaps more independent than initially thought. In her absence of answers, she confronts the possibility that you may have become someone who doesn't need her validation to feel secure. That realization alone is enough to shift the dynamic in the relationship. But it's not just about leaving her in the dark. It's about letting her experience the discomfort of wondering whether or not you're still invested. In relationships, discomfort isn't always negative. It can catalyze growth for both parties. Silence, when used strategically, can serve as a tool to make her realize that she must not take you for granted. And it might even make her appreciate the connection you share in a new light. By simply withdrawing for a time, you disrupt her sense of predictability. You shift the power balance without making a move. She's left to wonder, to fill the silence with her questions, doubts, and hopes. And in that space, the attraction you once had might grow stronger as she re-evaluates your role in her life and what she's willing to risk to keep you there. 4. Transformation. Mindset. Evolving into the man she fears losing. When a relationship ends, it's easy to assume it's because of a lack of feelings, but often the truth is more complex. She didn't leave because she stopped loving you, but believed she could do better. She thought that life without you could offer something more that fulfilled her needs in ways you couldn't. But here's the crucial lesson. That's not where the story ends. Instead, this is the moment for you to transform into someone unrecognizable, someone she can't replace. The most powerful response to her decision isn't anger or desperation, it's evolution. It's a quiet yet determined journey of growth that makes her see you not as the man she left behind, but as someone entirely different, someone she can't have anymore. The kind of man who's too far out of her reach, someone whose life has moved on in a direction that no longer includes her. Focus on self-improvement at every level, physically, emotionally, mentally, and professionally. The man you were in the relationship is gone. In his place is someone more assertive, capable, and aligned with his purpose. She'll notice this change, and it will make her pause. You've become a man who's learned from past mistakes, and who doesn't just exist but thrives. She'll start questioning her choices, wondering why she thought she could do better. And this regret, though it may not be openly expressed, will slowly creep into her thoughts. She might even try to reconnect, testing if the new version of you could somehow bring back the familiarity she once had. But by then it'll be too late. You won't fit into the old role she once cast for you. You've become someone irreplaceable, someone who's no longer defined by her presence or absence. The key here is to focus on your evolution, not for her validation, but for your growth. When she sees the man you've become, one who's outgrown the past, she'll realize how much she underestimated you. And that will be a lesson that sticks with her long after you've moved on. 5. Emotional detachment. Indifference is magnetic. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood as a lack of care or interest. However, detaching emotionally can be one of the most powerful tools in a man's arsenal regarding relationships and interactions with women. It is the key to reclaiming control, regaining your power, and ensuring you are not susceptible to manipulation. In relationships, women often expect emotional reactions. They want you to care, to respond, to show vulnerability. This creates a dynamic where emotions are used as a currency, and the person who reacts is often at the mercy of the other. When a man consistently displays emotional detachment, something remarkable happens. It doesn't mean he doesn't care, but rather that he controls his emotional state. He doesn't allow anyone, especially a woman, to dictate his feelings. This power of indifference creates an intriguing magnetic pull. There is something inherently attractive about someone unaffected by external emotions, who doesn't rush to please or react out of obligation. Women, while often intrigued by sensitivity, are equally drawn to a man who remains calm and composed under pressure. It's initially unsettling, but a certain level of mystery is built into this unpredictability. The more emotionally detached a man becomes, the more he becomes a figure of intrigue. Women often feel the need to figure him out, and this challenge adds to his allure. Consider the classic example of the bad boy persona. The man who isn't emotionally available, the one who doesn't need validation or approval from others. He doesn't chase after love or affection, yet he often gets it in abundance. This is not because he is cold or unkind, but because he understands the power of emotional detachment. His lack of emotional reaction and refusal to become entangled in drama make him appear more substantial, secure, and in control. The true power lies not in ignoring the woman, but in not allowing her to manipulate your emotional state. This is a dynamic that is often lost in relationships. When a man becomes too emotionally available or eager to please, he gives up his power. In contrast, detaching from the need for constant approval or emotional affirmation gives a man the ability to remain steady, regardless of external circumstances. It's not about shutting down your feelings, but choosing when and how to express them. An emotionally detached man stands out in a world where emotional reactions are the norm. He becomes a mystery to be unraveled, and in that mystery lies an irresistible attraction. Emotional detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you intriguing. It places you in a position of power, creating an aura that others are drawn to. The more a man detaches emotionally, the more he becomes a figure that is difficult to control and forget. So, if you want to capture attention, maintain power, and keep a woman on her toes, the secret is simple. Stop reacting emotionally. In doing so, you'll discover the power of indifference and the allure of emotional detachment. It's not about shutting off your feelings, but owning your emotional state and never letting anyone else dictate it. You'll find yourself more magnetic in this quiet power than ever before. 6. Social proof. The silent message of moving on. When a relationship ends, many men are tempted to focus all their energy on making their ex-partner feel the loss. It's a natural reaction, wanting to be noticed and making her regret the decision. But here's the truth. The most powerful message you can send her isn't through revenge or attention-seeking posts. It's through thriving without her. Moving on in a way that showcases your growth and fulfillment without her is a message far more potent than any text or social media post could ever convey. Women, by nature, constantly compare. It's not necessarily about jealousy, but understanding how their decisions play out. When she sees you succeeding and building a life without her, it subtly yet powerfully forces her to question whether she made the right choice. This is the silent message of moving on. It speaks volumes without you uttering a single word. You're not seeking validation from her. Instead, you're proving to yourself that you can stand firm on your own. Living your life fully, embracing new experiences, meeting new people, and continuing to grow sends an unspoken signal. It shows you're not stuck in the past and can evolve and thrive without her. The confidence you gain through this journey of self-improvement is magnetic. You're no longer the man who needs her approval or company to feel whole. Instead, you're the man who is comfortable and content. This is where the real power lies. It's not about playing games or trying to make her jealous. It's about living authentically and elevating your value. When you focus on yourself and your progress, you don't have to send indirect signals or force the narrative. Your life becomes the proof, the silent message, that you are doing just fine without her. This level of confidence and independence doesn't just speak to her. It speaks to everyone around you. It makes your worth undeniable. As difficult as it might seem, letting go and thriving without her is one of your most empowering choices. When you focus on yourself, you stop looking for external validation. You start valuing your journey and your growth. And that's a message that no one, especially your ex, can ignore. The key is not to try and make her feel anything. Let your life do the talking. Your progress will remind you that moving on doesn't mean losing anything, but gaining everything. 7. The power shift. When you become untouchable. There is a point in every relationship where the dynamic shifts, and it's a subtle yet powerful moment when you stop needing her. It's not about a grand gesture or an outward declaration, but rather an internal evolution within you. She may have always believed that she could come back when things were rocky, that no matter what happened she would always have a place in your life. But what happens when she sees that you've moved on, that you're no longer available in the way she once expected? At that moment she realizes she can't reach you anymore, and the power dynamic changes. No longer is it about her holding the cards or being the center of your emotional world. You've evolved to a point where you've learned to stand alone, emotionally and physically. You've built your life around who you are, not who you hope she'll be, and in doing so you've shifted the balance of power. The beauty of this shift is that it happens quietly. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to call attention to the fact that you're no longer emotionally tethered to her. She will feel it, though. When she reaches out, expecting you to drop everything for her like you once did, she'll see something different. A calm indifference. The thing that once seemed like a guarantee is now something distant, almost unreachable. This is where she will begin to question. Doubt starts to seep in. Did she miss something along the way? Was she too comfortable, assuming you'd always be there? And as those doubts settle, regret follows. She'll wonder whether she let something truly valuable slip through her fingers, not realizing how much she relied on your presence until it was gone. Becoming emotionally and physically unavailable is the silent but potent weapon that creates this shift. It forces her to confront her own choices and her role in the dynamic between the two of you. When you no longer need her to validate your existence, you reclaim your autonomy. It's not about punishing her or holding a grudge. It's about realizing that your worth isn't tied to her attention, affection, or approval. This transformation is the kind of power that can't be reclaimed through simple acts of reconciliation or apology. The game changes entirely once you've shifted your focus away from her. Now she must face that you've moved on, and whether she likes it or not, she can't return to the way things were. She'll be forced to accept that the man who once depended on her no longer does, and in that space, something shifts inside her. The power is no longer in her hands. 8. The unavailable king. The man she can't have. Women are drawn to what they can't possess. It's a simple yet powerful truth that resonates deeply in the dynamics of attraction. The moment a man becomes emotionally or physically unavailable, something shifts within her. The very quality of being out of reach, of not being easily attainable, turns him into an object of obsession. She will think about him, wonder about him, and sometimes yearn for him even more. It's not about games. It's about understanding the psychology of desire. The key here isn't about playing hard to get or creating distance as a manipulation tactic. It's about evolving into someone whose life is driven by purpose and whose focus is unyielding. When a man becomes unavailable, not because he's rejecting her but because he's leveling up in life, the attraction that he once had can become irresistible. It's the byproduct of ambition, growth, and living with intention. Men who are constantly chasing or available are often overlooked. The men with a vision, a mission, and a clear sense of direction captivate women. When a man's life is full of purpose and filled with meaningful endeavors, he's not just occupying space, he's advancing. And in that advancement he becomes more compelling. His essence becomes a beacon of strength and ambition, making him an intriguing figure in her eyes. The secret to becoming that man isn't found in pretending to be unavailable, but in genuinely being absorbed in what matters most to you, that you no longer have the time or energy to chase distractions. As you climb and pursue your goals relentlessly, the attention you once gave will shift. She will notice, and with time, she will chase the man she once dismissed. In this subtle yet powerful shift, women recognize that the man who is unavailable to them is often the one who has become everything they want in a partner. It's not a game. It's the result of a man who has set his sights on something more significant, leaving behind the past and inviting her into a future that he is creating on his terms. This dynamic isn't just about attracting her, it's about becoming the man who is truly worth pursuing, and in that pursuit she will find herself wanting what she can't have. 9. The ultimate revenge. Mastery over yourself. Revenge is often seen as a means to prove someone wrong, to get back at them for a perceived injustice. But the real revenge, if you can even call it that, isn't about making her regret her actions. It's about mastering yourself in ways she never imagined. The kind of power that makes her regret irrelevant because you've transcended the person she once knew. This is a journey of transformation, not of retribution. It's about becoming a man who is so focused, driven, and untouchable that no external validation, apology, or closure from her can touch you. You no longer need her to understand your worth because you've already demonstrated it to yourself. Think of it like this. When you elevate your mind, emotions, and life to mastery, you no longer rely on anyone else for your sense of self. You stop seeking closure, replaying old conversations, and wondering if she's thinking of you. What matters is the man you've become. Your power lies in your ability to evolve beyond your past self. This self-mastery isn't about outdoing her or making her feel bad. It's about letting go of the need for external validation altogether. When you stop needing closure from her, you gain a freedom that only genuine self-reliance can provide. Imagine reaching a point where the thoughts of her, the memories, the grievances, none of them hold power over you. Instead of holding on to what could have been, you embrace what you are becoming. Your mind becomes laser-focused, your heart solidified in purpose, and you realize that the more you grow, the less your actions can affect you. It's this evolution that unlocks your true power. As you continue to work on mastering yourself, you create a new narrative where the man you are becoming is not defined by the past, but is crafted by the decisions you make in the present. And that's where the power shifts. No longer do you look for signs of regret or remorse from her. Instead, you witness your growth and know it is more than enough. Ultimately, this self-mastery doesn't just serve as a means of revenge. It is, in fact, the highest form of living. A life that is no longer held back by anyone's actions or opinions, but instead driven by the untouchable force of your inner transformation. And that's a power no one can take from you. Final thoughts. The power of evolution and indifference. As we've explored throughout this journey, the valid key to creating regret and shifting the power dynamic is not about playing games or seeking revenge. It's about becoming the man she can no longer reach. No contact might be the beginning of this transformation. Still, it's only through your personal growth, your emotional detachment, and your unwavering focus on self-improvement that you'll truly change the narrative. You see, absence alone does not guarantee her regret. What causes regret is the contrast between who you were when she left and who you've become since then. When she sees that the man she once knew is no longer there, when she feels the void of your absence and recognizes the powerful transformation you've undergone, the regret starts to creep in. It's a silent message that speaks louder than any words ever could. You've become someone irreplaceable, and she missed her chance. Emotional detachment is a magnet. When you stop reacting, stop caring about her approval or attention, you step into your power. The more you master yourself and detach from emotional chaos, the more attractive you become. You no longer need validation from her, and in turn you become the kind of man others can't help but notice. You've elevated yourself, and that's the ultimate revenge. Not by making her feel bad, but by living your life so that her regret is inevitable. By thriving without her, focusing on your purpose, and becoming unavailable not out of spite, but because you have outgrown the past, you make yourself untouchable. And the power shifts when she realizes she can no longer have the man she once thought she could always return to. So, the most powerful thing you can do is to evolve. Focus on your growth, your goals, and your self-mastery. Become the kind of man beyond her reach, someone who no longer needs validation or closure from the past. This is where your real power lies. When you stop seeking revenge and focus on becoming your best self, everything else falls into place. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you experienced this kind of transformation? Have you ever shifted the power dynamic in your relationships by focusing on your growth and self-mastery? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's support each other on this journey of evolution and empowerment. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more insights on relationships, self-mastery, and becoming the best version of yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.